Alex stumbled over the jagged metal of the derelict shuttle, cursing under his breath, while a volley of plasma bolts turned the air around him into a symphony of sparks. He had always thought war would be orderly. You know, something with clear rules, uniforms, and the occasional heroic slow-motion leap. Instead, he had landed on Virelia 9, where explosions seemed to have a vendetta against gravity and enemy soldiers, moved with the precision of a clockwork orchestra designed by someone with a cruel sense of humor. He slid across a scorched patch of the battlefield, narrowly avoiding what could only be described as a hypercharged laser mortar, and landed on his back in a cloud of alien dust. For a second, he just stared at the sky, which swirled with violet clouds and lightning that smelled faintly of burnt almonds. "Yep," he muttered, "I am definitely going to need a vacation after this war." Behind him, the alien infantry, tall, impossibly elegant, with long ears twitching like twin radars, advanced in perfect formation. Each movement was synchronized, each step measured. Alex considered the possibility that these ears weren't just for show. Maybe they were antennas, listening in on his pulse, predicting his next stumble. "All right, aliens," he said, rolling onto his feet. "You win the creepy synchronized marching contest. Can we just skip to tea time?" One of the alien soldiers blinked, a fluid motion that looked eerily like a slow-motion shrug. That was about all the reaction Alex got before a plasma bolt whistled past, knocking a chunk of scorched metal against his helmet. Alex crouched behind what remained of a shattered cargo container. The world smelled like ozone and burnt circuits, and he could hear the distant groan of collapsing structures. He poked his head out. A squad of alien warriors was advancing toward him, and he considered for a split second the practical option: surrender. Then he remembered something crucial: surrender was boring. And besides, surrender didn't let him make jokes mid-battle. He waved cheerfully at the approaching squad. "Hi there. Nice day for a little human-alien skirmish, isn't it?" The squad paused. One soldier tilted its head, the long ears twitching in perfect rhythm with some silent music only they could hear. Alex interpreted this as confusion, or admiration, he wasn't sure which. He ducked as a plasma bolt zipped past him again. "Okay, maybe admiration isn't the right word," he muttered. From somewhere above, the faint hum of alien starships filled the air, their sleek hulls reflecting the violet storm above. He realized he wasn't just fighting ground troops. This battle had layers, like a very sad, very dangerous layer cake. And Alex didn't like cake unless it had chocolate, which, sadly, it did not. A sudden rumble made him stumble into a pile of debris. He cursed again, but there was no time for self-pity. His communicator buzzed and the voice of Sergeant Linton came through. "Alex, status." Alex pressed the device to his ear, half laughing, half swearing. "Status, I'm mostly alive, and I think one of them actually blinked at me in a friendly way. I'm counting that as a victory." A glint in the distance caught his eye. From the battlefield's edge, the alien queen watched. She floated slightly above the ground, seated on a throne of translucent crystal that refracted the violet light into dizzying patterns. Her long ears twitched at every sound, almost as if she were dancing to music that only she could hear. Alex didn't know this yet, but she had been observing him the entire time, hidden behind layers of energy shields and crystal projections. Somehow she found his ridiculous antics fascinating, even entertaining. "Human," she murmured to no one in particular. "He is chaos wrapped in bravery, and he smiles while doing it." Back on the ground, Alex had decided to try a new strategy: unpredictability. He grabbed a leftover thermal grenade and tossed it blindly. The explosion rocked the ground, sending two alien soldiers flying into a pile of scrap, where they landed with an almost cartoonish oof. Alex ducked, watching them scramble upright, and whispered, "Sorry, that was just my dance move." Very interpretive. Another plasma bolt sizzled past his shoulder, and he rolled, somehow landing on top of a small hovercar that had been abandoned during the battle. "All right," he said, balancing precariously. Note to self, humans were never meant for synchronized walking. We're more rolling and flailing. The alien infantry began to circle, trying to predict his movements. He noticed they had small devices strapped to their wrists that emitted faint pulses of light, probably for communication or battlefield coordination. Alex smirked. "You know," he said aloud, "if your ears are for listening, mine are for improvisation. Beats training manuals any day." He swung himself off the hovercar, somersaulting onto a patch of scorched metal, narrowly avoiding another blast that left a crater where his boots had been moments before. Suddenly, a small alien drone zipped past him, blinking in rhythmic patterns. Alex caught it mid-roll and examined it. "Oh, cute," he said, holding it up like a trophy. "Are you here to spy on me or just admire my chaotic brilliance?" The drone emitted a series of chirps that sounded suspiciously like a laugh. Alex nodded seriously. "I knew it. You get me." He tossed it back toward the advancing soldiers. It zipped past them, causing one soldier to stumble spectacularly. Alex ducked behind cover again, feeling a rare spark of triumph. As the sun, or what passed for a sun in the swirling violet clouds, dipped lower, the battlefield grew quieter, though the tension never fully left the air. Alex wiped grime from his brow, panting and laughing at himself. He had survived another wave, made the aliens look slightly confused, and kept his sense of humor intact, which he considered an even greater victory. Somewhere above, the alien queen leaned slightly forward, her long ears flicking in amusement, studying him with a curiosity that bordered on obsession. Alex didn't know it yet, but the chaos he had unleashed today would ripple far beyond the battlefield. Reports of his antics would reach the highest levels of the alien empire. Analysts would argue, advisors would frown, and yet one being, the queen herself, would see in him a spark no regimented strategy could ever produce. And when that realization struck her, the next steps would be unexpected, unbelievable, and entirely unprecedented. For now, Alex simply stood in the middle of the battlefield, dodging a few remaining sparks, brushing off alien dust and muttering to himself. "Well, I guess tomorrow we try coffee instead of plasma fire. Should be safer, maybe." And for the first time in what felt like forever, he laughed. Alex woke to the sound of something beeping annoyingly close to his ear. He squinted through the dim glow of the infirmary, blinking at what looked like a hovering medical unit shaped vaguely like a teapot with too many appendages. "Morning," he said, voice hoarse. "Or is it evening? Time gets weird when you're being shot at for breakfast." The teapot bot beeped insistently, scanning his burns and scratches with meticulous precision. One of its tiny arms, tipped with a glowing clamp, reached toward his shoulder and he jerked back. "Whoa, careful. I'm sensitive in that area. You don't know what humans are capable of when provoked." It paused, tilted its tiny metal head, then resumed its work. Alex shrugged and muttered, "Fine, fine, do your science magic, but no lasers, okay?" The infirmary itself was a kaleidoscope of alien technology. Tables floated midair, instruments hummed in a language that sounded vaguely like jazz, and every now and then a small hologram of some creature he didn't recognize popped up, gesturing politely as if to say, "We are aware you're a disaster, but also fascinating." Alex grinned. "Well, at least I'm fascinating," he said. One of the hovering nurses, a human-looking alien woman with long ears that twitched constantly, peeked over his bed. "Fascinating is one word," she said, her voice smooth and melodic. "Reckless might be another." Alex attempted to sit up. The nurses exchanged a glance, which he interpreted as universal alien nurse language for "brace for chaos." "Don't worry," he said. "I've mastered chaos. It's my second favorite hobby after staring at improbable odds and making bad jokes." One of the nurses tapped a small holographic pad floating near her wrist, and a miniature projection of the battlefield appeared, showing him rolling, sliding, and somehow surviving with improbable luck. Alex pointed at it. "See that? Pure skill, totally intentional, every fall a masterstroke." The nurse's long ears twitched in amusement. "Every fall, yes," she said, and your masterstroke nearly gave us all a heart attack. Meanwhile, somewhere high above, in her crystalline chamber, the alien queen observed the reports streaming in. Her throne floated lightly, bathed in shifting light from the shattered moon outside. Every report seemed to contradict the next. Humans survived impossible odds. Human smiled while being shot at. Human told a joke while dodging death. She twitched her long ears in both irritation and intrigue. He is ridiculous, she muttered, and yet somehow inspiring. One of her advisors, equally elegant with ears like antennae, leaned forward. Your Majesty, shall we detain him, control him? She shook her head and a faint smile curved her lips. Control? No, observation, perhaps guidance. The word hung in the air like an unspoken promise, and the advisor's ears drooped in confusion. Guidance, he repeated. Back in the infirmary, Alex's communicator buzzed again. This time it wasn't Sergeant Linton. It was a new voice, smooth and commanding, with a faint echo that suggested it was coming from somewhere impossibly far away. Alex, the voice said, we have reviewed your performance. Alex raised an eyebrow. Performance, he said, you mean my interpretive battlefield dance? There was silence on the other end for a beat, then a metallic chuckle. We mean your actions, your bravery. Alex smirked. Ah, bravery, fancy word for I made them look silly while surviving. Got it. He spent the next hours hopping between treatments, dodging advice, and arguing with nurses about whether duct tape might have sufficed instead of the alien equivalent of reinforced plasma bandages. Honestly, he said at one point, you can keep all this glowy-tech stuff. Back home, we have tape, determination, and the occasional caffeinated snack. Works wonders. The nurse raised a skeptical eyebrow. And yet you live, she said. Alex shrugged, beginner's luck, or genius, jury is still out. The hospital itself was not just a treatment center. It was a hive of alien intrigue. Analysts hovered in the corners, observing every twitch of Alex's eyebrows, every smirk, every sarcastic comment. Holographic readouts displayed metrics like human survival probability and amusement factor, which Alex found personally insulting. They're judging my humor, he muttered. Well, if they can't appreciate a good pun in the middle of chaos, they clearly have no taste. One of the analysts, with ears pointed so sharply they could have sliced bread, scribbled notes furiously. The human is a paradox, they muttered to their colleague, and apparently dangerously funny. At midday, Alex was finally allowed to leave the infirmary, wobbling slightly but still remarkably intact. He stepped out onto a platform overlooking the alien capital, a sprawling city of towers carved from crystal and metal, hovering transit lanes, and floating gardens that seemed to defy gravity. He paused and squinted at the alien citizens walking below. Everyone moved in perfect symmetry, which made him twitch involuntarily. Humans, he muttered, have ruined a lot of things, symmetry included. His comment drew a glance from a passing patrol. He waved cheerfully. I'm friendly, mostly. A sudden commotion caught his attention. An alien envoy with ears longer than a small tree gestured frantically, apparently arguing over a procedural document that floated midair in a holographic display. Alex tilted his head. You know, he said aloud, if it's paperwork, just let it be, works at my office. He caught himself and laughed. Right, bad joke, but hey, I'm working on cultural assimilation here. As he navigated through the city, Alex noticed subtle changes in the way the Queen's guards observed him. Eyes followed him with curiosity rather than hostility, some of them twitching in ways that suggested amusement. He raised an eyebrow. Okay, he said softly, this is new. I think I might be famous, or infamous. Either way, not dead, I'll take it. Somewhere above in the floating crystalline palace, the Queen's long ears twitched again, a slight smirk playing at her lips. She had seen him dodge lasers, outwit drones, and survive impossible odds with a grin on his face. And she had decided that the man in question was worth more than a report, more than a strategic assessment. He was interesting. Exceptionally, maddeningly interesting. By evening, Alex found himself in a grand chamber, summoned personally. The doors slid open with a hum, revealing the queen seated with an elegance that could make the galaxy itself pause. Her long ears flicked with amusement as she studied him. "You have survived," she said simply, "and entertained me." Alex bowed awkwardly, scraping one elbow on the crystalline floor. "Well, I aim to please," he said, "mostly me, but entertainment is a nice bonus." The queen's lips curved into a faint, approving smile. "Your actions have disrupted expectations. You are unpredictable. Perhaps that is useful." Alex blinked. Useful, like help with chores or interstellar diplomacy. The queen tilted her head, ears twitching like twin question marks. "You will learn," she said. "For now you may rest. Soon your next role will begin." Alex exhaled audibly. Roles, right. And here I thought surviving was my full-time job. He grinned. Somehow he knew the next chapter would be stranger, more dangerous, and hilariously absurd, and for the first time he welcomed it. Alex stood in the heart of the crystalline palace, rubbing his elbows nervously against a railing that seemed to hover in midair. The room pulsed with alien energy, shards of light floating lazily like fireflies around the vast chamber. Across from him, the alien queen sat on her throne, ears flicking and twitching in ways that suggested she was enjoying herself more than she wanted to admit. "So," Alex began, "I hear I survived the most impossible battle of the century, entertained the monarchy, and possibly set some sort of galactic chaos record. What's next, T? Interstellar knitting?" The queen's lips curved into the faintest of smiles. "You misunderstand the nature of your contributions," she said. "Your actions have demonstrated qualities that no regimented army, no precise protocol could produce. Courage, unpredictability, humor. You have achieved the impossible not by following rules but by creating your own." Alex grinned. "Ah, so basically my entire approach to life is now officially strategic genius." Noted. For the next several hours, Alex listened to the queen outline her plan. She intended to make him an emissary, a liaison between the human forces and her empire, not as a soldier, but as a living example of unpredictability and inspiration. Alex raised an eyebrow. "So basically, I get to wander around the galaxy, cause minor chaos, and get paid in cosmic respect." The queen's ears twitched, and she inclined her head ever so slightly. "Your rewards are more subtle. Influence, presence, the ability to shift outcomes where others fail. You are no longer merely surviving, you are shaping." Alex paused. "Shaping, huh? That sounds fancy. Does it involve paperwork?" As the queen spoke, Alex reflected on the whirlwind of recent events. Just days ago, he had been a soldier caught in an impossible battle, relying on luck and instinct while cracking jokes at inappropriate moments. Now he realized he had grown, not just physically, but mentally. He had learned to read the alien army's movements, to anticipate the unpredictable, to survive by embracing chaos rather than fearing it. Even his humor had transformed from nervous deflection to a deliberate strategic tool. He chuckled softly. "Well," he said, "I guess I'm officially a professional chaos agent. Not sure how many resumes list that skill, but I'll take it." The queen stood, and the room seemed to hum with her presence. Her long ears flicked gracefully as she approached, and Alex instinctively straightened. She extended a hand, not in formality, but in acknowledgement of his unique abilities. "We will begin tomorrow," she said. "You will accompany me to the Council of Outer Realms. Your perspective is valuable." Alex looked at her hand, then back up at her face and smiled. "Council of Outer Realms. Great. I hope they like terrible jokes and dramatic entrances because that's my specialty." The next day, Alex found himself in a transport vessel that seemed to float on nothing, the hull humming as it pierced the atmosphere of Virlia 9. The queen sat beside him, serene, yet amused by his constant commentary on everything from the questionable decor of the council chamber to the relative danger of sitting too close to the console. "Honestly," he said, If we survive the council, we should probably celebrate with something wild, maybe fireworks or a zero-gravity dance-off. The queen's ears twitched again. Your spirit is infectious, she said. Alex grinned. Well, I try. Chaos is an art form, you know. When they arrived, the Council of Outer Realms awaited, a collection of alien representatives from planets across the sector. Tension filled the air as the delegates regarded the human with thinly veiled suspicion. Alex, however, decided early that diplomacy was best approached with humor. He bowed dramatically, over-enthusiastic enough to nearly collide with the nearest hoverdesk. Greetings, esteemed delegates, he said. I bring wit, charm, and if required, mild chaos. A few ears twitched in shock, a couple of delegates laughed quietly, and the Queen's eyes sparkled with approval. Over the following days, Alex proved to be more than a curiosity. He offered insights the Council had never considered, highlighting flaws in their rigid strategies, and suggesting alternatives inspired by his unpredictable human thinking. Delegates began to listen, first skeptically, then with growing respect. His humor remained a tool, breaking tension and bridging cultural gaps. At one point, he even orchestrated a minor, accidental power surge to demonstrate a point, earning startled looks and eventual laughter from even the most stoic representatives. By the end of the council, resolutions were passed that had seemed impossible, and Alex had done it without firing a single shot. As the council adjourned, the Queen turned to him, her long ears tilting like question marks of satisfaction. You have adapted, she said. You have survived, influenced, and changed outcomes. You are no longer merely human among aliens. You are a bridge. Alex scratched the back of his head. A bridge, huh? That's nicer than being a glorified cannon fodder. I'll take it. Back aboard the palace transport, Alex allowed himself a rare moment of reflection. The battlefield that had once defined him now seemed distant, almost surreal. He had entered the alien empire as a soldier relying on luck and instinct, cracking jokes to survive, and leaving chaos in his wake. He was leaving it as someone recognized for strategy, ingenuity, and a sense of humor that had become as valuable as any weapon. He realized that courage wasn't just about facing danger. It was about embracing uncertainty, owning your quirks, and finding laughter even in the void of lasers and plasma. Later, as he stood with the Queen on a balcony overlooking the floating gardens of the capital, Alex gazed at the shimmering towers and the violet-hued clouds. You know, he said, I never thought surviving would feel like winning. But this is winning. Kind of fancy, kind of terrifying, but definitely winning. The Queen's ears flicked in amusement. You understand now, she said softly. The galaxy is not tamed by fear or precision alone. It is shaped by those who can adapt, who can surprise, who can endure with spirit. Alex laughed. Spirit, huh? I always thought it was stubbornness and bad jokes, but I guess spirit works too. And so, Alex's journey reached a turning point. He had transformed from a reckless soldier into a valued emissary, a human who navigated alien politics with humor and insight, bridging worlds through courage and ingenuity. The Queen, having made a choice that defied tradition, had gained not just a human ally, but an unpredictable force capable of inspiring and challenging her empire. Together, they looked out at the horizon,